Okay, hello. Sorry, guys, it took a minute. So today we're going to be talking about the nonprofit organization operation. So just to give you a little background, I want to touch on different aspects of the nonprofit organization operations. So in an essence, every organization or nonprofit always has a unique and a niche mission under for which it operates. The focus on nonprofit organizations is always to ensure that they stick to their mission as the motive and not the financial operations, meaning that you never want to deviate from what the mission stands for. That has posed challenges as to whether um, or not nonprofit organizations should use the competencies applied in business related organizations and or not. The fact is that every organization, whether nonprofit or not, must always practice competency and honesty in their operations, meaning that you have to stand on the mission, the reason for what the nonprofit organization stands for, and not deviate from it. These PowerPoints will present groups of competencies that need to be followed in a nonprofit organization operations when comparing the different competencies. The paper will examine how the skills have shaped my learning as a human service professional, my strengths, my weaknesses that I have shown in my profession, and how I will handle them moving forward on my next venture. An example of my role and how it relates to one of the companies discussed. Generally, my role at present would be a nurse case manager. So that was just to give you a little bit of background. So let's move on. So nonprofit organization operations. So typically the nonprofit organizations, we already addressed that, there's some similarities, going to be some similarities. All the competencies presented in this group are similar in the fact that they all contribute to the general success of the nonprofit organization operation. So between the 1950s and 1960s, the United States lost developments to organizations, and these organizations had profit as a secondary motive for their formation. The mission was the motive of all nonprofit organization operations. Philosophically, nonprofit organizations are change agents to human beings. It could be relating to housing. It could be related to funding. It could be related to personal. The mission was that again, if let's just say, for an example, the mission is you're going to have value, you're going to have ethics, you're going to have integrity. Nonprofit organizations, they should their human being is being changed to consider joining the organization, meaning that these are the things that you should think about when you're joining the organization. The things that I just mentioned. The value, the integrity, the morals, you're going to have to first see if they have a foundation for that. With historical and philosophical foundations of nonprofit organizations in mind, it's expected that the nonprofit organizations will be resilient and dedicated to their functions and hence the success, meaning that whether or not you're successful and or not, which the hope is to be successful, you want to make sure that you're going to have resilient, meaning that what may, because not all the time success sometimes doesn't come in the beginning, but it comes in the end. Similarity, competency number 7, board versus community development, is also related to the success of a nonprofit organization, meaning that the board and the committee, that's going to be kind of the top, that's going to be your foundation. Nonprofit organizations are encouraged to have a board of directors who are responsible for the proper planning of the planning following a strategic procedure. The procedure followed is what will assure success to the operations, meaning that those most of the time it's going to be you have the muscle and the mouth, and those most of the time are going to be the behind the scenes people that are ensuring that everything is carried out accordingly and that the employees are standing on the mission, the value, they possess integrity, and they have the core competencies as well. However, the governing board needs to be selected and developed based on the financial exposure of the members so that they can handle and the availed resources to meet the mission of the organization. Now, keeping in mind, you don't always want the financial aspects of it to be the reason. However, financial does play a piece in the whole role. So, competency number 9, which is on nonprofit management, also needs to be addressed in such a way that they are honesty for the individuals who are working for nonprofit organizations. Honesty is essential since all human resource management needs to be based on the competency and hence the success again of the organization. Therefore, employees who are able to practice flexibility and maintain initiative should be considered in the nonprofit management because again, a lot of times with the financial stat, with the financial aspect of it, the success may not come in the beginning, but it may be at the end. Additionally, competency number 11 on community outreach, marketing, and public relations also contribute to the success of nonprofit organization operations. Nonprofit organizations are largely concerned with delivery of service of the public and representing the interests of the citizen, meaning that again, if you cannot serve, then you cannot lead because that's you're gonna have to start at the bottom, and that is the bottom. And if you can't do that piece of it, then you won't make it to the end, which the end is where we look to see success. This shows that such an organization shares direct responsibility to outreach members of the public. Again, we want to get in the habit of serving before we lead. Competency number 12 on nonprofit program planning also determines the success of the organization operations. Strict screening and sustainable criteria need to be followed when assessing the needs for which organizations need to meet. It is clear that there are similarities in all companies under nonprofit organization operations. The only difference between these companies is that meeting them require different skills, which are vested upon the manager of such organizations, meaning everybody has a different skill set, but because everybody has a different skill set, that's what makes the team. If you have an array of team members that specify in every area, that is what's going to make the team stronger, and that is what is going to create a foundation. How the group of competencies have shaped my learning in human services. So the companies have shown me that as a case manager, I have to follow certain procedures for success to be achieved. When considering nonprofit organization operations, the focus needs to be solely based on the mission of the organization and not any extra money that could be made um, in the operation. So, um, that there is the need to have a board of management who are flexible and have high financial exposure. So when we say have high financial exposure, we mean that we have the exposure to bring the money in because the money may not be there. So not that you have to have money on hand because a lot of times nonprofit organizations don't have it on hand, but getting the exposure that you need will bring in the finance. And sometimes that is going to mean being very, very flexible because if you're wanting a donation of so much, a lot of times we're on their time and not on our time. And that's where, again, it comes back is you have to know how to serve before you can lead because you're going to have to do a lot of serving before you've reached the actual point of success. Professional strengths and weaknesses with the competencies. So, professional strengths with the competencies. I have performed well in community outreach and public relations. I can improve on this strength by reaching out to more people, thereby building a stronger relationship between the government and the citizens. A lot of people are not They don't seem to understand, or they underestimate the power of a relationship. Relationships are very, very, very important in any array or discipline that you may be in. A lot of times where someone could get some done, or the average person couldn't get some done, a lot of times because you have a relationship with someone, they'll be willing to go the extra mile and or take that chance. I have always performed in proper nonprofit program planning. However, I need to be smart in the allocation of resources to ensure maximum success in a nonprofit organization operation. And what this means is the allocation of resources. We always want to make sure we're not here to judge, but we also always want to make sure that the allocation of resources that are at hand, that they are being delivered to the right people and not over delivered and not under delivered, so that you can stay within a budget. Although we want to help everyone, if you follow the certain guidelines at hand, then your allocation of resources, you should not overproduce. Professional weakness. It's always been challenging for me to develop a board that is committed to the work. And the reason that this can be a weakness, or what I have ran across for a weakness for people, because everybody is not committed as you are. You know, their goal may not be your goal. Their sense of urgency may not be your sense of urgency. So, and a lot of times when the money is not there, a lot of times people really don't want to do the work. They want to receive the reward, but they don't want to do the work. They want to be in the process, in the end process, but not from the beginning process. It's also a major challenge to find an honest human resource to work with regards to nonprofit management, because a lot of times there's a lot of money coming in. I don't know if you guys watch the news, but a lot of times there's a lot of mismanagement of funds. I would handle these weaknesses by training further the human resource team and by showing them the historical and the philosophical foundations of nonprofit organization operations. However, integrity, value, and morals, those are things that cannot be taught. They have to be within. And if a individual doesn't possess those skills, then you just have to keep moving until you find them. There are a lot of people out there like that. They're just hard to find. They're like diamonds in sand. I mean, they're just really, really hard to find. My work and the competencies. So my work is a case manager, and I've asked to provide timely, effective, efficient, client-centered, equitable, and safe care. Competency 11, community outreach and marketing and public relations, is the center of my operation. That is my heart. That is my love. I've always learned that this company requires proper outreach to the community and also presenting the interests of the client. And also getting to the bottom of what the underlying problem is. And sometimes that means getting personable. And again, if you want to, you have to be friendly, you have to be approachable, and at the end, you have to be a good listener. Therefore, this group of companies has just improved my understanding, the understanding of my role, and how to perfect on some of the things that I need to perfect to help me be more effective. But I want to be efficient, and I want to be proficient, and I want to be effective in what I'm producing. If I can just help one person a day, then I've done my job, because they will tell someone else. And if I can do that, then I've mastered all of the competencies. Thank you. This is a presentation by LaDonna Washington, and I hope you've gained some insight, but you're welcome to go over the slides as you need. Thanks. All right, so let's see. What do I do? Okay, I stopped the video. Okay, so we stopped the video. Are you still recording? Okay, it's a little box. Okay.